A devastating and deadly fire rips through a bar and apartments in Sturgeon Bay. Authorities struggling to find a way to get in.
The building right now is deemed very compromised.
The building in downtown, rich with history, now gutted.
It's almost surreal. My niece sent me a video and I couldn't even watch it. It just doesn't seem real.
All this as Northeast Wisconsin is enveloped in a winter storm. The latest you need to know tonight on Action 2 News at 5.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. We have lots to get to tonight. We'll check in shortly with David Ernst in the First Alert Weather Center. We also have a crew monitoring the roads at this hour. Jason Zimmerman will have a live update from the Fox Valley just minutes from now.
But first, team coverage from Sturgeon Bay. A deadly fire at a historic downtown bar with one person still unaccounted for. We first brought you this as breaking news early this morning. It happened at Butch's Bar on 3rd Avenue. Viewer video shows the flames that started around 3:30 a.m.
Our live team coverage in Sturgeon Bay starts with Casey Torres. Casey, what have you been learning about the search today?
The search for the one person unaccounted for continues. We also learned one person was killed in the fire and their body was found a few hours ago but has not been identified yet. We also know that one person was hospitalized at a burn center. However, we have not heard how they are doing at this moment. And there were several survivors that escaped the fire, but their home was on the 2nd floor where the roof collapsed.
It's certainly a sad day, no doubt about it.
This is what Butch's Bar in downtown Sturgeon Bay looks like after an early morning fire burned it down Tuesday before 4 a.m. Only charred brick walls are left of what was once a popular hangout spot for locals like Richard Bone.
Well, I haven't been in there maybe in 10 years, but before that, I'd go there.
The bar also had 2nd floor apartments that some people called home before they came crashing down.
There are 20 available rooms that were above Butch's Bar. 9 were rented.
Several renters now need a new home.
Amy Conley from United Way has been, her office has been in contact with the renters that we have here that are displaced, trying to find them shelter and long-term housing.
9 agencies helped out with the fire in the middle of a winter storm and bitter cold.
There's a lot that goes into this. There's a lot of training that goes into this, and that's what they train for. But it still doesn't make it any less uncomfortable, especially with conditions like this.
It's a sad day for that old bar and building and the people associated.
Sturgeon Bay officials in the state are now handling this investigation. They are trying to figure out what could have caused the fire and where it could have started. But finding the answer to that could take a while because this building is considered compromised. That is another reason why people are asked to stay away from the area that is taped off by at least 2 blocks on 3rd Street. Reporting live in Sturgeon Bay, Casey Torres, Action 2 News.
Thank you, Casey. We've also been learning about the history of Butch's Bar and its value to the community. Kaylin Schumacher has details on that. Kaylin.
Yeah, Bill, I got to talk with the Door County Historical Museum today, and they told me that while the bar has been here since the 70s, the building itself was actually first built in 1904, back when the roads were nothing but dirt.
And kind of its purpose, it actually hasn't changed that much in the 120 plus years that we're talking about.
In the more than 120 years that it's been around, Butch's Bar has held a handful of names, owners, and purposes, ranging from a hotel to an Eagles club.
Pretty fascinating stuff, and one of the most significant historic buildings in that area for sure.
Years ago, it was called the Eagles Club. And they used to hold meetings upstairs. It was a whole open area. When my uncle took it over, he made rooms upstairs, sleeping rooms.
But patrons say its varied history is what made it so great today.
Being in there, you definitely did feel the history, and you felt those years and years of people putting their heart and soul, bringing those community memories into that space. It had an impact.
A lot of memories, a lot of friends and kind of like relatives. We all hung out there.
Becky Trout, the current owner's niece, said today her family is heartbroken for her uncle, as Butch's Bar was his whole world for more than 50 years. and now it's crumbled overnight.
It's been in the family since I was a child. We've had like anniversaries for my grandparents there, birthdays. When we were younger, we would do Christmas there, the entire family. He spends more time there than he does at home.
But local historians say, unfortunately, losing history to fire in Door County is nothing new.
Fire has dominated Door County history and certainly Sturgeon Bay history. Many of the buildings that currently exist on 3rd Avenue, the stone and brick buildings, were built as the result of the previous buildings burning down.
Now, I couldn't get a hold of the owner today, but friends and family tell me that he's doing okay, just devastated by the loss of his building and those that live there. Reporting in Sturgeon Bay, Kaylin Schumacher, Action 2 News.
Kaylin, thank you. Turning now to the first alert weather day we're experiencing. We're still seeing the effects of the big winter storm system, slippery travel persisting into the evening.
What can we expect in the coming hours before this weather maker comes to an end? Meteorologist David Ernst joining us now with a look at that first alert forecast. David.
Yes, Cammie and Bill, we're in the waning stages of the falling snow and wintry mix, but roads are going to remain slippery across the area through the rest of this evening and overnight. You see a number of slippery stretches reported through the Fox cities, ice-covered roads down to the southeast of Lake Winnebago. So it doesn't really matter where you are, you're likely to encounter some slippery stretches, especially as you get off into the more untreated roads. Here, a live look downtown Green Bay and a rather slushy-looking Walnut Street there below. In Appleton right now, you can see a few flakes coming across the screen. Also looking like slower travel down College Avenue. In Oshkosh, doesn't look like we have too much snow coming down. Roads here look a little bit more wet downtown, but again, as you start getting off of those more well-traveled, well-treated routes, you're going to encounter more snow and slushy spots. Shawano looking more like Oshkosh there. Don't see any real steady snow coming down, and the roads don't look too bad here downtown, but again, you're going to encounter pockets where it's definitely worse throughout the area. In Sturgeon Bay and southward, we have a little bit of light snow coming down. Same goes from the De Pere area through Wrightstown into Calumet County. And as you get from Shawano, just southeast of Shawano down towards the Seymour area and Outagamie County, we're seeing some steadier snow, a few pockets of steadier snow across northern areas, also dealing with a little bit of light snow there. But the steady activity is pushing away from the area. We'll have to keep an eye on what you see there around Minneapolis to see if that tracks into the Northwoods late. But most of us are getting out of the snow as we speak. We'll talk more about another round that could be moving through later this week coming up.
Thanks, David. As this system rolls through, as David mentioned, there are still some travel concerns. So let's check in with our crew in the Fox Valley. Jason Zimmerman has been keeping an eye on the roads. So Jason, tell us what it's like out there right now.
Yeah, Cammie, we've been out on the roads for the past several hours, and they continue to get better. We're on Interstate 41 right now, Winnebago County, just passing through Neenah, and we're going about 60 miles an hour. A lot of vehicles are going even faster than us, so you can see here, including this truck that just kind of blew by us here. So you can see the roads here in pretty good shape. There's still some slippery spots if you're traveling in town, some scattered slick spots, but a lot of slush on the roads. They're really wet right now, so that's also giving us some traction, which is actually good if you have to put on the brakes. But again, we've seen the plows out, and they seem to be doing a pretty good job. You know, obviously much better than it was this afternoon. And some of that is due to the fact that we aren't seeing any more snow or just a light misting right now that's coming down. So we'll continue to keep you posted throughout the evening. Reporting live in Winnebago County, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
Welcome to downtown London. As we've shown you earlier today, the Packers making their first appearance in this city is a big deal for Packer fans. But what about the folks that live here? The Packers and Giants will be playing the 32nd NFL game in this city. So is it a big deal to Londoners? Do you know anybody that watches NFL football?
Not
No?
really.
It's just not catching on with you?
Nah. I know the basic rules in terms of you have 4 downs to try and get the ball as far as you can before you swap teams.
Do you pay attention to the games when they're here?
No, I don't. I have been wanting to watch, but they are quite pricey.
But are you aware of who's playing Sunday?
I'm not aware of who's playing on Sunday. That's the thing. 'Cause mostly, of course, the sport here is rugby.
Yep.
So that's the main contact sport. However, if people got more mainstream of it, people might be quite interested to see. So yeah.
I'm just curious, have you ever heard of the Green Bay Packers?
I have heard of them once, yes, I have. I mean, the more famous ones which I've heard of course, are the LA Rams, the Patriots and stuff, but I haven't heard too much about them. I've heard the name, but don't know much about the team.
They're here this week.
Where are they playing at?
Tottenham.
Tottenham, okay, nice.
Well, I just think football in general is not a great sport. I'm much more of a rugby person, I have to say.
Now, to be fair, she's also not a fan of the football that they play here all the time. But we did find fans not just from Green Bay, not just from Wisconsin, not just from the United States. We'll have that story coming up tonight at 10. Reporting in London, Chris Roth, Action 2 News.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News at 10 starts now.
Good evening. We're less than 12 hours away from the Packers playing against the New York Giants in London in the team's first ever regular season game outside of the U.S. Sports Director Chris Roth is in London talking with fans across the pond.
Welcome to London the day before the Packers and the Giants meet, but the day of the Packers' big pep rally here in downtown. Now remember the sports bar we took you to on Thursday, Belushi's London Bridge. Much more crowded today. In fact, 1 hour before the event began, the line out the door, around the corner, up the block. It was also the same 1 hour after this thing ended.
I got here about 8 a.m. this morning after a 3:30 a.m. bus ride from my local town of Leeds, and it's been crazy. Honestly, I think I said go Pack go to so many people, it's insane.
And the whole reason I got into following the Packers was I found out about the heritage, you know, the fan zone in the club, the season ticket wait, and then I watched the games and I saw Aaron Rodgers throw a Hail Mary and I was like, oh, yeah, I like this guy.
Give it up for our international Packers fans.
As you can hear, it wasn't only Wisconsinites at the rally. The UK Irish Packers fan club is the largest outside of the States. President Stephen O'Brien brings a group of members to Green Bay every year for a game. This year, the game comes to them, which means there will be more of them.
We've done like a decade, literally a decade of work to try to build up the fan base here and create an atmosphere that people could come together to, not jumping up and down on their mom's couch, you know, when Aaron Rodgers throws that Hail Mary touchdown. So yeah, we've already seen the uptake. It's brilliant.
Go, Pack, go! Go, Pack, go!
This packed house was brilliantly entertained by Packers alumni, including new Hall of Famer Leroy Butler and Super Bowl champions Nick Collins and James Jones.
I came as a player, but I came with the Raiders. I would have loved to come with the Packers because, like I said, this right here is just a different experience, man.
We have our London fans come over from Europe, everywhere, St. Andrews, they all come to the Packers and say this is a place we must visit. So we had to do the same. So this trip has been amazing.
I'd say it's about 10-1 Packers.
But the star of the weekend so far, the iconic triangular piece of yellow foam.
We've seen a tweet go viral already of someone who has no idea what's going on, and they saw someone with cheese on their head, and they're like, I don't know if I'm in the Twilight Zone here, but what the hell is going on over here with the cheese heads?
I don't really know how countries work in terms of their alliances, but I think cheeseheads really bring countries together. Yeah.
I think you have solved the problem of world peace.
I think someone's got to get Putin a cheesehead, you know? Jeez Louise.
Well, the only thing left now for the fans would be a Packers victory on Sunday at Tottenham. We'll take a closer look at the matchup coming up later in sports with the Packers in London. Chris Roth, Action 2 News.
All right.
Thank you. Across our area, crews are still working to clean up damage from storms that swept through last week. The National Weather Service has confirmed another tornado from last week's storm, this time touching down in Middle Inlet, that's in Marinette County. The tornado left a lot of damage to local farms and property there. Days after the storm, the fire department and community members rallied to help each other clear roads and yards. The fire department opened their doors to those who needed drinking water or a shower. Town officials say while they have made good progress, there is still much more that needs to be done.
I would say dozens of houses. A lot of places, they're not even discovered yet because they're so far back in the woods. And a lot of these people are out-of-town people, so when they do come up and check out their cabins, houses, whatever, they're going to be in shock.
The latest tornado confirmation brings the total now to 8 tornadoes in northeast Wisconsin and 11 statewide just from last Wednesday. By the grace of God, that's how Joe and Debbie Hendricks say they survived this mobile home explosion back in April in the town of Niagara. Now they're sharing their remarkable story of survival with a purpose to call to action to homeowners everywhere to protect themselves with one simple device. Brittany Schmidt brings us their story in an Action 2 News exclusive.
When you look at what's left of this mobile home in the town of Niagara, it's hard to imagine that anyone could survive the force of this blast.
The way I could describe it is just so much energy. There was just so much power and just force and fire.
And I kind of remember a whirlwind around me, like a tornado or something.
But Joe and Debbie Hendricks did survive.
Grace of God is the only explanation we can come up with.
And now they want to share their near-death experience in hopes of saving lives by bringing attention to the accident that could have killed them.
What I remember was, and it was still sort of cold, spring wasn't really, on full speed yet. And when we woke up, it was cold in the house.
So Joe did what so many people do up north when their propane furnace isn't working. He checked the pilot light.
And sure enough, the pilot light was out, and I just didn't think a lot of it.
Until he lit it, and the mobile home exploded.
I saw flames, and the pain kind of hit right away. There was like an instant sting, to just the impact. And then I just kind of felt like I was sailing, and to me it felt like I landed on a slide, which was probably a wall that had tipped over, and I kind of landed on that and slid a little bit, and then I was out in the yard.
Even though there was no ceiling or walls left, I don't remember that really computing in my head. It was just, I didn't know what happened, and his voice was just comforting that, he was okay, and that we were gonna get out together.
Obviously, I guess we have unfinished work to do here.
And that work begins now by talking about these multi-gas detectors.
And this will detect propane, natural gas, and about any other explosive gas, and it could save someone's life. So I just really encourage people to put this in their home, in their trailer home.
Debbie and Joe believe this device would have prevented the explosion from ever happening.
We'll probably never know what really happened, but there was a failure of some kind, and I don't know if the valve just broke or a fitting became loose, but the gas just didn't shut off.
Joe says the device would have detected the gas before it got to a dangerous level, even before there would have been a strong odor, one they couldn't smell due to COVID infections months earlier.
My smell had been compromised for months, from months earlier, and I couldn't smell anything, and we'd probably been sleeping in it for a number of hours and may have been desensitized to the smell.
Their message is not one of fear, but rather a message of being prepared.
I even had a call from an old friend of mine. He said, I thought of you the other day because the water was cold and I had to go light the pilot light on the water heater. And I said, please tell me you didn't just go light it. And I said, if you don't buy a detector, I'll buy one for you.
So now this goes with them on every trip, including a recent one back to the town of Niagara to see their now empty property.
Some little part of me felt like we were going to get to the top of the hill and everything would still be there, even though I kind of know that it wasn't going to be there. And
it was surreal. It was sad. It was, there were some emotional moments for sure when he got back in the car from seeing the site. He said, this is where I almost killed you. And I said, this is where God saved us. So it's all in how you look at it, and it's like you really got to flip it around and just be grateful.
Grateful for the first responders who saved their lives and the community they hope to be part of permanently one day as they build a new home where their old one once stood.
I couldn't think of anything more that I would want more than just to be part of a loving community where you feel like everyone's your friend. Everyone can be family.
I just want to make sure every single person just knows that they touched us, and we appreciate it.
Joe and Debbie were overwhelmed by the amount of support they received from so many people. We have that thank you message from them on our website. We also have a link to a multi-gas detector if you'd like to learn more about it. And Bill, you'll recall they did unfortunately lose their beloved dogs, Ralphie and Rocky, in the explosion. However, they turned that grief into action by saving a dog. This is their new rescue, Ted, and they are so excited to have him as part of the family now.
What an incredible story.
Truly
You're
is.
very lucky, and you take care of Mom and Dad now. You hear that?
Good advice.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News starts right now with breaking news.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us tonight. Victims of a De Beer-based company that's now charged federally with wire and bank fraud tell us they are finding a little relief for the first time in 3 years.
This is the breaking news that's been unfolding by the hour. A federal grand jury handing down indictments today against the owners of Summit Contracting Incorporated. alleging 4 people conducted a scheme to take or attempt to take more than $1.5 million from their customers. We have been filing first alert investigations on this company since 2019 when customers came to us asking for help. Sarah Thompson has been talking with them all the way through and investigators ever since. She joins us with what is happening tonight. Sarah.
Cammie and Bill, I can tell you 4 people, Chad Shampers, his wife Gina Shampers, Nate Smith, and Jeffrey O'Brien will all have to appear here in front of a federal court judge and do it soon. In the meantime, word is spreading fast across the state from people who say they were victimized by Summit Contracting, many of them saying their bank accounts were completely drained or tens of thousands of dollars suddenly went missing. Tonight, the words they say are being uttered, quote, "It's about time."
Federal prosecutors use words like scheme and fraud to describe the practices they say Summit Contracting was using in order to get customers to sign documents that would eventually allow the contracting business to almost immediately take money from customers' bank accounts. The federal indictment says Summit used high-pressure, deceptive tactics to get customers to finance home improvement projects with Summit using the company's chosen financial institutions, EnerBank and GreenSky. Prosecutors say often while Summit representatives were still in people's homes for a sales pitch, they would induce a customer to apply for financing by misrepresenting the terms of the financing, alleging customers didn't realize what they were signing. Then, almost immediately, Summit would process, via interstate wires, those financing applications, allowing Summit to withdraw funds from customers' financing accounts prior to ever beginning any work or even ordering materials. The total amount prosecutors say Summit Contracting wrongfully obtained or attempted to, $1.5 million. Along with that indictment came a second one against Chad Shampers, alleging he filed a fraudulent loan application for the Paycheck Protection Program. That's the government's federal coronavirus relief money for people impacted by the pandemic. Instead, prosecutors allege Shampers used $300,000 for personal expenses to purchase a home or to divert funds into his personal account.
And to be clear, this is not about poor workmanship on a contracting job. This is about fraud and deception in the terms of the U.S. Attorney's Office. And that's what takes this, they say, to a criminal level. We will be following any new developments on this case, including any possible court appearances here in federal court, and let you know what happens. Reporting live in downtown Green Bay, Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News.
From WBAY TV, your first alert station, Action 2 News starts right now with breaking news.
Good evening. We begin with that breaking news on an incredibly disturbing homicide in Green Bay that prosecutors are calling one of the most serious cases in Brown County's recent history.
24-year-old Taylor Shabiznis is now charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and sexual assault. This started last Wednesday as a suspicious death investigation involving a 25-year-old man. We first told you about it as police were searching a home on Stony Brook Lane on the city's far west side. Sarah Thompson spent the day there then as investigators worked the crime scene and joins us now live outside the Brown County Courthouse with the new details we're learning just this afternoon. Sarah.
And Bill, Taylor Shabiznis appeared in a Brown County court here behind me just a couple of hours ago. Her bond set at $2 million. That is the highest bond for a case that any of us can remember in Brown County. And that bond says something about the crime she is accused of. It is disturbing, and we have to warn you, the details of this case are very graphic.
Taylor Shabiznis remains quiet and calm, appearing from the Brown County Jail this afternoon. Prosecutors describing the case unlike anything they've seen here.
I think it's fair to characterize this as probably one of the most serious offenses we've had in this county in some time.
Details began unfolding last Wednesday around 3:30 a.m. when the 25-year-old victim's mother told police she woke up when she heard a door slam. She told investigators a basement light was on and went downstairs, and that's where she discovered a bucket, and inside, her son's severed head. Police say they found a lot of blood in the basement, and they discovered body parts in other bags, boxes, or storage containers, as well as several knives Shabiznis told them she found in the kitchen. The medical examiner says the victim died of strangulation during what Shabiznis told them was a sexual encounter. At one point, she told investigators she just went crazy and that she blacked out during part of it. The 24-year-old woman told police she and the victim had been smoking meth. Shabiznes is also facing a sexual assault charge for acts that happened after she told police the man had died. And in court this afternoon, prosecutors listed other multiple open cases against her, saying she was on probation at the time of the murder and was supposed to have been wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet, but was not. And police say Shabiznes was the first person they went looking for because she was the last person known to have seen the victim alive. Police have not identified that man and say the family is asking for privacy. Reporting live in Green Bay, Sarah Thompson, Action 2 News.
Meantime, we are continuing to follow that breaking news story we brought you at the top of this newscast. We joined Jason Zimmerman live at the scene of a large police presence in Shawano County for an update. Jason.
Cammie, we can confirm that there was a shooting out here on the property right behind me, which is just outside of Thornton, east of, or I should say west of Shawano. We have been told that the DCI is now investigating this case. The Shawano County Sheriff's Department is not releasing too much information. We have been in contact with them as well as we continue to work details of this case. You can see there's quite a large police presence out here on Oak Avenue. The road is still closed off to the public, and again, we do suspect this could have been a fatality just because we did see officers covering up something with a tarp out in front of what appears to be either a small house or a storage shed. Again, we're continuing to work new information and try to get some questions answered out here, and we hope to have a lot more information by 10 o'clock tonight. Reporting live just outside of Thornton, Jason Zimmerman, Action 2 News.
69 years ago today, Green Bay WBAY made history as the first television station on the air here in Northeast Wisconsin, the second one overall in the state.
Of course, a lot has changed since March 17th of 1953, but one thing that has not, and that's our mission to bring you the very latest news, weather, and sports as they develop. And to mark our 69th anniversary, Jeff Alexander filed a series of reports today looking back on our station's history. Tonight, he joins us once again to explain how WBAY's legacy lives on.
Cammie, I know I speak for all of us in saying there is a tremendous amount of pride when we walk in the door every day. WBAY has always been and remains the most popular go-to station in Northeast Wisconsin. It's a legacy we all take very seriously. For many in today's WBAY family, this station is a part of their earliest memories.
I grew up watching Channel 2 and WBAY, and now to be here as part of the team, I mean, I'm incredibly honored. We have such a strong tradition, amazing journalism, and passionate people.
Station I grew up with. I mean, there's no doubt about it. We grew up as a kid. The noon show was must-see TV. We grew up on a farm, and you shut up during the noon show because that's when the farm markets were on.
Mike Austin, Channel 2's farm specialist, brings you the only complete agribusiness report in the area.
And then it was just the station, and I still think it's that way.
Friends, we in the news department here at WBAY TV are quite excited today.
And it's all thanks to the station's pioneers, both those on the air and behind the scenes who worked at WBAY for decades.
Len Eilenfeld was a guy who worked with the Packers and worked here. You know, Rex Marks, Chuck Ramsey, Les Sturmer was a guy, Bobby Nelson. If I had $5 every time somebody, how was Bobby Nelson before he passed away? I'd have been a rich, rich man.
Good evening, friends. We are pleased to have you join us.
As the first station on the air in Northeast Wisconsin, WBAY's history is unmatched, and we hear that often.
When you say you work for WBAY, people are like, oh, legacy station. I've always watched that. I grew up watching that. And now I'm getting to the age where people are saying to me, I remember watching you when I was younger, and now they have families of their own. So it's coming full circle.
Like many of our predecessors, WBAY has become a second home for many of us, a family-like feeling on the air and off.
What you see on television, we are real, and behind the scenes, all of us together, people who work in production and sales and marketing, photographers, we're all together.
People who were here 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, I came up with a lot of you guys. You were at my wedding, you know, and that's just crazy to me that, you know, to see people And you have families, and now your kids are, off on their own, and it's kind of cool because we keep people, which is part of our legacy.
A legacy now spanning nearly 7 decades. And while a lot has changed technology-wise and with the tools we use to gather the news, other things have not.
A much faster pace, but I think we still have that tradition, we still have those values, and that has stayed original. To its core, we are who we are, and this tradition is carried on at WBAY.
I've always felt, from my perspective, I'm just trying to carry on that tradition of the people before me. The Chuck Ramses, the Les Sturmers, Joe Schmitz, guys like that, Bobby Nelsons, that kind of blazed the trail for us to be where we are. We're the second TV station in the state of Wisconsin. And we kind of set the standard. People learn how to do television, how to watch television through us. And we continue on that tradition. We continue that legacy. My job is just don't blow it. I mean, it's simple as that.
I don't think you have to worry about that, Bill. And hey guys, hard to believe, next year, our 70th anniversary.
It's been so fun to look back today.
I realize some great friends.
I know, we see
times.
pictures, and we see pictures of people we used to work with, and it's,
Some of them no longer with us.
Yeah, and it's touching, yeah.
It is.
But it is family.
That's right. Yeah. See you next year.
Wait till 70. It's going to get even better.
This is nothing.
All right, moving on.
They are some of the special people we've had the privilege to meet.
I think he would be so thrilled, he'd probably jump out of that wheelchair.
Their humility, creativity, and passion inspires.
Yeah, I've always kind of had a desire to just draw and create.
They represent the fabric of our small towns.
I don't have a Cadillac, I don't have a boat, don't have a motorcycle, all the toys. This is my thing.
People you certainly remember and respect.
The main thing is that you are really in love with the industry and understand what it represents.
Now, some of the small town stories we've been honored to tell. Welcome and thanks for joining us for this Small Town Special. I'm Jeff Alexander. Every week, somewhere along the back roads of Northeast Wisconsin, we come across someone or some folks who simply make us smile. It could be a family member, your friend, maybe your neighbor. Safe to say we've had quite the journey over the past several months, and now a look back at some of our favorite small town stories. We begin with a man who has overcome incredible challenges to create stunning artwork that is displayed in a number of public places. But it's the man behind the work that is even more amazing. Back in February, we traveled to Shawano County to meet the inspirational Scott Menzel. In the tiny town of Pella, Scott Menzel is happy to be home in his little studio.
So this is how I get set up to draw.
Always patient for his creative process to begin.
In my world, nothing is fast.
It's been that way for Scott since his first breath, born with a condition called spinal muscular atrophy type 2.
It's a hereditary condition where, my muscles aren't getting the right signal, so the muscle growth gets stunted. So I've never really walked. I've been in a wheelchair all my life.
Unable to do many of the things his friends enjoyed, Scott fell in love with art at a young age.
I would draw, like cartoons and cars and, just to kind of pass time by. And it just kind of slowly progressed, like through school. I would do t-shirts and different various projects for the school.
After sketching all the faces of his 1993 Marion High School graduating class on a t-shirt, Scott earned a degree in graphic communications at St. Norbert College. He then worked at the college for 10 years in a computer lab, helping teachers learn how to use assistive technology for students with disabilities. On the side, he continued his artwork, receiving constant praise. But inside, unsure if the compliments were sincere because of his disability.
But there's always that doubt, like, you're just saying it to be nice. But I think the moment where I realized maybe there was something to it was I entered a competition and they didn't know who I was, obviously. And I got my work published in an international magazine.
With newfound confidence, Scott returned to Pella.
yeah, this is kind of my home turf, which is kind of nice. Everybody is like a family in this area, so it's comforting. You know, you're not like a stranger.
And in 2014, he launched his own art business.
Menzel Fine Art. Okay, pretty original. This is one of my newest pieces I'm working on.
Using a trackball, an on-screen keyboard, and traditional software programs like Photoshop, Blender, ArtRage, and Premiere, Scott entered the world of digital art.
Really, I have no excuses. I have all the tools to be able to create whatever I envision. And now it's up to me and my responsibility to be able to produce it.
It's a lifeline for him. Technology has allowed him to keep up with his art. He has lost movement in his hands over the years, and now he can draw via the computer.
Scott's art can be found in local hospitals, colleges, nonprofit facilities, and businesses as far away as Milwaukee. In recent years, he's transitioned from using canvas to transferring his art onto metal.
All of a sudden, you just get that aha moment where it's like, all right, it's done.
Scott considers his style mostly contemporary, with a focus on abstract ideas and all kinds of creatures like this spider titled Strange Beauty.
It's symbolic to me just because, you know, like sometimes people are afraid of things they don't understand. And like being in a wheelchair, sometimes people don't know how to approach you, which I totally get. I'm not offended. And I try to break the ice with people.
With the help of family and friends, Scott is able to travel to at least a dozen art shows each year around the state. A proud mom sees it as an opportunity for her son to serve as an inspiration.
To show the world what a person can do and what a person is able to do.
And Scott admits he's proud of how far he's come on a road traveled by very few.
It's pretty awesome, I'll be honest with you. It's great to be able to create, you know, to do it for a living, you know, and then to have people see it is probably the greatest thing. Like, I want people to see it.
Along with creating more art for people to marvel at, Scott has been busy this summer, involved in an upcoming fashion project. It's a big first for the disabled community. The show is part of New York Fashion Week, and Scott will walk, or roll as he says, down the runway in New York on September 8th. We certainly wish him the best.
Well, it's also a very important day here locally for the Toys for Tots donation drive.
Yeah, our last call event happening right now at our studio and our lobby, that is, in downtown Green Bay, and also at Appleton's Fox Communities Credit Union on Enterprise Avenue. Bill and Cammie joining us live from our lobby as it fills up with all your donations. Hey, guys.
Thanks, guys. You know, Bill, I feel like I have been just dropped off at the North Pole. We are at Santa's Workshop, also known as the WBAY lobby.
It's kind of a multi-purpose room up here, but folks, you can't believe it. We've been doing this now for a number of years, and every year as we walk up here and you come up, you were so impressed with the toys, but always in the years past, Cammie, it would stop right about here.
Right.
Now we've got at least 5 or 6 feet more of toys, and then we have toys over here and toys over there. It's so weird that the guys from the Marines are here.
Yep.
They don't have room for their pizzas to come in tonight.
U.S. Marine Corps Reserve has been here all day taking your donations to Toys for Tots. This is their 75th year of Toys for Tots. This is our 18th year of doing this last call toy drive, and I think this is the best year yet.
Started at 6 o'clock this morning, goes through 8 o'clock tonight, and it's not just here either. We've got folks down in the valley operating as well.
Yeah, that's right. We have some video from Appleton we want to show you as well. Steady stream there. The folks here telling us they've seen a steady stream, kind of picking up now as people get off work and they're bringing things, you know, as they come. We had a guy from Lamar Advertising actually drop off that box that had been at their location all holiday season. So this is awesome. Kids are coming in and just dropping off tons of items. We have bikes back there. We have games back there. We have stuffed animals back there. You name it.
Giant bears. So that's it. Again, it still goes until 8 o'clock tonight, folks. Thanks so much if you've contributed to this. Thank you so very, very much. But we will be going until 8 o'clock here and also down at Fox Communities Credit Union off Enterprise Drive, off Ballard Road on I-41. Help us out if you can.
Yeah, we still will take those donations till 8 o'clock. Back to you guys.